Ambassador Zara Quinn stood tall in the heart of the Galactic Council chamber, her voice steady but carrying a sharp edge. The aliens seated before her, creatures of immense power and influence from across the galaxy, laughed, their mocking jeers echoing off the vaulted stone walls. "You think we should fear you?" A tall, armored Zorathian sneered, his reptilian eyes gleaming with derision. "You are nothing more than children playing with fire. You've barely scraped the surface of the galaxy's true power." Zara's jaw clenched, but her gaze never wavered. "You'll learn what it means to underestimate humanity. And when you do, it will be too late." The room fell into a tense silence. Zara had come to the Galactic Council as Earth's last hope, a voice for the planet that had once been a backwater world in the eyes of the cosmos. For years, Earth's diplomats had fought for recognition, but every attempt had been met with contempt. The Council saw Earth as a primitive species, incapable of challenging the power of ancient galactic empires that had ruled the stars for millennia. The Zorathians, in particular, had made it clear that they viewed humanity as little more than a nuisance. Her position here was a testament to her skill and unyielding will, qualities that had earned her a place on the Council stage, despite humanity's humble beginnings. Zara had warned them before, and now she would warn them again. "I've watched you all sit on your thrones, believing you've mastered the galaxy," she continued, her voice unwavering. "But what you fail to understand is that humanity is not like the other races you've conquered or manipulated. We don't back down. We don't submit. And we never forget." The other council members shifted uncomfortably in their seats. Even the smug Zorathian fell silent, his arrogance replaced by a flicker of doubt. Zara's warning wasn't just words, it was a statement of fact. The room erupted into laughter once more, but this time it was less certain. The Cretians, with their translucent skin and high-pitched voices, joined in, mocking her and Earth's supposed weakness. Their laughter reverberated around the hall, like a chorus of indifference, designed to crush her spirit. Zara, however, remained unfazed. She had spent years dealing with this kind of scorn, years of watching humanity's power, resources, and potential belittled by those who had never seen what she had. She knew the truth. "Laugh now," Zara said, her voice calm but filled with an unspoken threat. "But you will not laugh when it's your fleets that burn, when your cities fall, and when you realize too late that Earth was not the threat you thought it was. We may be new to this stage, but we are not weak, and we are far from helpless." A murmur spread across the chamber, a ripple of unease passing through the council members. A few exchanged glances, uncertainty creeping into their features. They had expected a diplomatic session. They had expected human submission. What they had not anticipated was the ironclad resolve of a species that had learned, adapted, and survived against all odds. Zara stepped forward, her voice now cutting through the tension like a blade. "You've made a mistake in dismissing us. We have the power, the resolve, and the will to destroy you. And if you provoke us, if you test us one more time, you will understand the consequences. No species has ever made the mistake of underestimating humanity and lived to tell the tale." As she spoke, a subtle vibration in the air caught her attention. A small device embedded in her wrist blinked to life, a hidden signal from Earth's military forces. Zara's eyes narrowed as she sent a single, covert message to President Maria Hayes. The warning was clear: it's time. The council members were too engrossed in their ridicule to notice the shift in Zara's demeanor. She smiled to herself, her lips curling ever so slightly. The laughter continued, but the glint in her eyes suggested something far more dangerous than any of them realized. And as Zara turned to leave, her final words hung in the air like a prophecy. "I warned you." The chamber fell into silence as she exited. The council, now too distracted by their own hubris to recognize the threat, failed to see the light in the sky, a streak of human warships, concealed in the furthest reaches of space, now making their move. The reckoning had begun. The underground military complex, beneath Earth's surface, hummed with activity. President Maria Hayes sat in her command center, staring at the massive holographic map in front of her. A single red dot blinked on the edge of the galaxy, a signal sent by Ambassador Zara Quinn, and the first indication that the Galactic Council had made a fatal mistake. The countdown had begun. President Hayes, a woman of quiet but unwavering strength, had always known this day might come. Earth had kept its military capabilities hidden from the Council, masking its true potential behind layers of diplomacy and appeasement. But now, with the fate of humanity on the line, it was time to unveil the truth. General Victor Reese, leader of Earth Special Forces, stood by her side, his face grim. He was the architect of Earth's military strategy, one that had been kept so secret, so close to the chest, that even the Council had never suspected Earth had the means to challenge them. "General," Hayes said, her voice calm but firm, "it's time." Reese nodded. "The fleet is ready. We've waited for this moment, ma'am, and now it's here." Hayes gave a subtle nod, and the holographic map shifted, revealing Earth's secret weapon. It wasn't just a fleet. It was a technological marvel, a military force capable of executing lightning-fast strikes, designed specifically to dismantle the Galactic Council's vast network of defenses. Hidden in the furthest corners of the galaxy, Earth's warships had spent years in stealth, waiting for the right moment to strike. As the clock ticked down, the operations began. Military units deep within Earth's most secure bunkers activated their protocols, and across the planet, human soldiers readied themselves. For the first time, Earth's elite forces would emerge from the shadows. General Reese turned to the control panel, his fingers moving with precision. "All units are primed for the initial strike. Our target, the Zorathian fleet. We have the element of surprise." The warships, sleek and black, slipped silently through the outer rim. Unlike the clunky, outdated designs of the past, these ships were built for speed and lethal precision. Every vessel was armed with weapons capable of overwhelming anything the Council could throw at them. Earth had invested years into developing these ships, and now they would be humanity's hammer. As the fleet moved into position, Hayes and Reese stood side by side, watching the unfolding attack on their monitors. The first wave was already in motion, and within moments, they would engage with the Zorathian forces in a clash that would change the course of galactic history. Suddenly, a notification flashed across the screen. Zora, the automated communication system, had intercepted a message from the Galactic Council. A command ship had just issued a broadcast to the rest of the Council, a desperate plea for backup. "They know," Reese muttered under his breath. "The surprise is over." Hayes met his gaze, her face set in determination. "Then let them come." The countdown had reached 0. The fleet leaped from hyperspace, emerging in the midst of the Zorathian stronghold. Earth's ships were ready for battle, and the galaxy would never forget the day humanity stopped pretending to be weak. The first explosion rocked the Zorathian fleet, signaling the beginning of the end for the Galactic Council's reign of superiority. The Zorathian fleet, massive and imposing, was unprepared for the storm that hit them. In an instant, Earth's warships descended on their formation, striking faster than anything the Zorathians had ever encountered. The battle had begun, and it was clear from the first explosion. The Galactic Council had made a grave miscalculation. Captain Lisa Drake, commander of one of Earth's elite warships, stood at the helm of the Defiant, her eyes cold as she watched the chaotic scenes unfold on her screen. Her crew, a seasoned unit of Special Forces soldiers, moved with mechanical precision, executing their orders without hesitation. They were the tip of humanity's spear, fast, efficient, and deadly. "We've got them," Drake muttered, watching as the Zorathian ships fell one by one. The Earth fleet's first strike had taken them by surprise, and now the once proud Zorathians were scrambling to retaliate, but their response was disorganized. They had underestimated the sheer speed and effectiveness of the human assault. Beside Drake, Lieutenant Carter tapped his console, quickly relaying new orders. "Enemy flagship is within range. Do we go for the kill?" Drake didn't hesitate. "Take it down. Make sure they understand who they're dealing with." The Defiant powered through space, dodging enemy fire and launching its own barrage of precise, devastating shots. The Zorathian flagship, the Throne of Rex, was a massive fortress of steel and weaponry. Yet, as the Earth ships advanced, it became painfully clear. The Zorathians had no hope of keeping up with the speed and firepower of Earth's technology. Direct hit to their main reactor, Carter reported, a sense of disbelief in his voice. They're done for. On screen, the Throne of Rex erupted into a massive fireball, a trail of wreckage slowly spreading out into the void. The Zorathian flagship was no more. Drake didn't flinch. This was only the beginning. Move to the next target, she ordered, her voice unwavering. We have no time to waste. In the distance, more Zorathian ships fell victim to the relentless human assault. Earth's fleet wasn't just overpowering them. They were outclassing them in every sense. The Zorathians' clumsy attempts to retaliate were no match for Earth's precision warfare. Each ship, each strike, was designed to hit hard and fast, with no room for error. As the Earth fleet continued its assault, the Galactic Council's panic spread through the galaxy like wildfire. In the distance, another massive fleet, this time the Eryxian forces, emerged from hyperspace. Their arrival marked a turning point. The Zorathian fleet was shattered, but the battle for the galaxy was far from over. Commander, Carter said, his voice tense, the Eryxians are here. They're more advanced than the Zorathians. Drake's eyes narrowed as she looked at the new fleet, now advancing on Earth's position. Let them come, she said, her hand steady on the controls. We've just begun. The next wave was coming, but so was the certainty. Humanity's retribution would be unstoppable. The shock wave from the explosion of the Zorathian flagship still reverberated through space when Captain Lisa Drake's next orders cracked through the radio. Prepare for impact. The Eryxians are here. The thrill of victory had barely settled before the next challenge came barreling in. This time, far bigger, far deadlier. Drake's hand gripped the controls as the Defiant shot forward, her crew of battle-hardened soldiers bracing themselves for the inevitable clash. The Eryxians were not like the Zorathians. They were the last remnants of an ancient galactic empire, their ships sleek, imposing, and faster than anything Earth had ever faced. Across the comms, Lieutenant Carter's voice broke through, shaky but determined. They're closing in fast. No way we can outrun them. Then we'll meet them head-on, Drake responded, her tone like steel. We've got a point to prove. As the Eryxian fleet loomed, Drake's pulse quickened. These were the kind of opponents humans had feared, the kind of power that could crush Earth's forces with a flick of their wrist. But the Eryxians had no idea what was coming. The first salvo of energy blasts exploded around the Defiant as the Eryxians unleashed their opening strike. But Drake wasn't caught off guard. She jerked the ship hard to the left, narrowly avoiding the energy beams that seared through the space where her ship had been just moments before. Return fire, she barked. Give them everything we've got. Earth's fleet, synchronized and ruthless, retaliated with brutal efficiency. The Defiant fired its plasma cannons, cutting through the Eryxian ships like a hot knife through butter. Their advanced technology may have been faster, but Earth's warships were designed to adapt, to find the weak points and exploit them with clinical precision. The Eryxians retaliated fiercely, sending shock waves through space, their ships flickering in and out of hyperspace, attacking from unpredictable angles. But it was already too late. The humans were one step ahead. We've got them on the ropes, Captain. Carter shouted, his voice filled with disbelief. They're scrambling. Drake's lips curled into a grim smile. She could feel it now. The tide was shifting. The Galactic Council, in all their arrogance, had believed they could control the galaxy. But humanity had come prepared. They were faster, smarter, and more brutal than anyone had given them credit for. Just as Drake began to breathe a sigh of relief, the situation shifted again. A massive rift appeared in the fabric of space, and from it an unknown fleet emerged, dozens of ships with alien markings that no one had seen before. The Eryxians were retreating, not out of fear, but to make way for the new threat. This is bad, Captain, Carter said, his voice tight. We've got company, big company. Drake's eyes narrowed as the massive new fleet moved in formation, their weapons powered up and ready to fire. Earth had just taken down two of the galaxy's most formidable fleets, But this new adversary was unlike anything they had faced. They were bigger, stronger, and far more menacing. "Brace for impact," Drake ordered, her voice ice cold. The countdown to the next battle had already begun, and this time, humanity would need every bit of their fury to survive. The reckoning was far from over. The air in the command center crackled with tension. Captain Lisa Drake's eyes locked onto the new fleet emerging from the rift, an overwhelming force that dwarfed anything humanity had fought before. "This isn't just another battle," Drake muttered under her breath. "This is war." General Victor Reese stood beside her, his stern gaze scanning the holographic map. The unknown fleet was massive, and its technology was unlike anything they'd ever encountered. But there was no time to second-guess themselves now. "We've faced worse," Reese said, his voice cutting through the rising panic. "We'll need every asset we have for this one." Drake nodded sharply. The rest of the fleet, Earth's finest warships, were ready for action. No longer were they the underdogs, forced to retreat in the face of superior power. Humanity had proven itself on the battlefield, and now they would show the galaxy what they were truly capable of. "Set course. Engage on my mark," Drake ordered. Her crew, a finely tuned unit of elite soldiers, moved with synchronized precision, their hands flying over controls. They had faced death before. Today, they'd face it again, but this time they would give no quarter. The first strike came from the unknown fleet. Massive energy blasts rained down, vaporizing anything in their path. Earth's warships shook under the barrage, but their shields held firm. "Brace for impact," Drake shouted, her voice cutting through the comms. The ship rocked violently, but they didn't falter. Humanity's strength wasn't just in their ships, it was in their resolve. Earth's fleet wasn't about to retreat. Drake gritted her teeth, adjusting the ship's trajectory to avoid another direct hit. "Return fire, full power now." The Defiant fired back, its cannons lighting up the dark expanse of space, sending bolts of plasma streaking through the void. A perfect strike found its mark. A heavy cruiser, one of the unknown fleet's largest vessels, burst into flames. But the unknown fleet was relentless. Their ships were faster, more agile, and their weapons seemed to have an otherworldly precision. "Target their engines," Drake barked. She could feel the tide of the battle shifting. The unknown fleet was gaining ground. But it wasn't over yet. Not while humanity still had a fleet to command. As the battle raged on, Drake saw something that made her blood run cold. A new wave of unknown ships, their weapons charging up, glinting with deadly energy. "They're preparing something big," Carter said, his voice tight with alarm. "Something we've never seen before." Drake's eyes darted to the readouts. "Hold steady. We can't break now." The unknown fleet's formation shifted. They were closing in, and Earth's forces were outnumbered. As the enemy ships powered up their weapons, Drake's mind raced. Was this humanity's breaking point? Or was it their moment to prove they could take on the galaxy's might? The first devastating blast struck, and everything went dark. In that instant, Drake knew this wasn't the end. It was only the beginning. The darkness of space shattered as Earth's fleet surged forward, undeterred by the chaos. A single, deafening roar echoed across the battlefield, the unknown fleet's final assault. But as the blast hit, a surprising silence followed. The Defiant remained intact, its hull scorched but unbroken. Captain Lisa Drake stood tall at the helm, her grip firm. "We're not done yet." On Earth, President Maria Hayes watched the unfolding battle through a secure live feed, her eyes narrowed with cold resolve. The galaxy had underestimated humanity once again, but it would make no such mistake a second time. With the unknown fleet on the verge of collapse, Hayes' strategy was becoming clear. Earth had proven its strength. But this war wasn't just about survival. It was about taking control. General Victor Reese stood beside her, his jaw set with quiet determination. "We've pushed them to their breaking point, Madam President. We need to hit them now, while they're vulnerable." Hayes didn't answer immediately, her eyes glued to the monitors. The Defiant was leading the charge, cutting through the enemy lines like a blade through flesh. Humanity had found its place in the galaxy, and now there was no turning back. "We end this now," Hayes said firmly. Back in the heart of the battle, Captain Drake's ship was surrounded. The once imposing fleet of the unknown enemies was now fragmented, their ships barely hanging on. It had taken everything humanity had, but the tide was shifting. Earth's warships, bloodied but relentless, were tearing through the enemy lines. "They're retreating," Lieutenant Carter reported, disbelief in his voice. "They're pulling back, Captain." Drake's eyes flicked to the viewfinder, her expression unreadable. "Not yet. We finish this." In the final moments of the battle, Earth's fleet moved in for the kill. The enemy ships, once a menacing threat, now cowered in the face of humanity's sheer will. The last of the unknown fleet's defenses crumbled as Earth's warships struck with precision. A final explosion lit up the dark void, signaling the end of the unknown fleet's reign. The battle was over. Humanity had emerged victorious. Drake watched as the enemy fleet disintegrated into the stars. But just as the victory began to settle in, a new transmission came through, one that sent a chill down her spine. A fleet, unlike anything they had ever seen, was approaching. This was no last-minute backup. This was something else entirely. A fleet that eclipsed even the unknown enemy they had just defeated. And it was coming for Earth. "General Reese," Drake muttered under her breath, "I think we've just pissed off the wrong species." Earth had won the battle, but a far greater war was just beginning.